Good morning, everyone. It is January 5th, 2026, so Happy New Year to everyone. I wanted to begin this morning by talking about the snowfall over the Midwest. We can see here that we have snow falling over Michigan, and this is as of about 3 a.m. Monday morning. Now, this area of snow is going to begin to move off to the east over time, and as we get into, let's say, Monday afternoon, the snow will begin to overspread much of New York State and affect the capital district, so near Albany, and also get into Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, as we get later into the day Monday. Also off to the west, what we're seeing here, again, this is as of about 3 a.m. Monday morning, we're seeing a lot of rain beginning to move into Northern California. Now, this is going to be a major problem for this area, and this is due in large part to how much rain we've seen over the past several weeks. But we could see anywhere from as little as 1 to 2 inches north of San Francisco. And once you get north of, let's say, Eureka in California and northern counties there, some places could pick up 3 to 4 inches of rain. And this is even at lower elevations. And we're talking about between now and really Monday night, this rainfall affecting the region. And let's go ahead and put this in motion so we can kind of see what was happening early this morning. So again, Northern California, not the only area being affected by heavy rainfall. We can see here east of Sacramento towards Carson City in Nevada, rain changing to snow, especially as you get into the mountain passes. And as we go south into Los Angeles, right, towards San Diego, some lighter showers there. This rain and snowfall activity, though, is not limited to California. Again, we can see it as you get up towards Oregon, especially towards the Cascades region. We can see some snowfall activity. Snowfall levels around let's say, 1,000 feet to 2,500 feet. And we're going to find that to be the case as we get into the state of Washington as well. Heavier rains again near the coastal region, especially the higher elevations of the Olympics, and also the interior near the Cascades of Washington State. We're going to see some heavier showers there as well. But again, the big story tonight into Monday night, again, the big story here is from the day Monday into Monday night being Northern California. So anyone traveling in that area in particular, just be mindful of the flooding that could be taking place. Ponding of roadways, things like that will be a serious issue. So let's kind of zoom in here for a moment, and we can kind of see this heavier rainfall beginning to move on shore. You can see the darker greens and these yellows and oranges even coming on shore here. So anywhere, again, north of, let's say, Eureka, a lot of this heavier rain is going to be moving into the region. I wanted to share this with you as well. We can see the National Weather Service is saying currently for areas north of San Francisco, again, from Point Arena eastward into Middleton, anywhere from 1 to as much as 3 inches of rainfall there. And this extends well to the north, right, through Eureka. Again, 1 to 1.5 inches there. That's kind of a lower end amount there in that location. But this extends further northward too as we get towards Crescent City. Again, as much as 3 to 4 inches of rain just east of Crescent City. So overall, we'll probably see a lot of heavy rain, especially north of San Francisco here. And this could extend into portions of southern Oregon as well. But anyone driving in this area should be careful. This is an area that's experienced a lot of rain in the last couple of weeks in general. So it's more susceptible, I would say. One of the things, besides the ponding of water, and this is more scary here, is the increased risk of rock and mudslides. Again, this is for Monday through Monday night here, the rainfall that we're seeing in California, northern portions of the state. And kind of moving further to the north here, we can see the snowfall affecting the Cascades. One of the things over the coming days to keep in mind here for anyone passing through the mountain passes, snowfall levels Monday into Tuesday are going to drop to around 1,500 feet. That's well below pass level for parts of Oregon and also Washington. Again, we're going to probably see anywhere from 1 to 2 feet of snow in the Cascades, Oregon into Washington, with this first round of precipitation. However, we're going to see another round of precipitation probably late Tuesday coming through this same region. So another 1 to 2 feet of snow could fall. And again, those snowfall levels dropping likely as we get into Tuesday. Looking at the coastal region of Washington, again, we could see a lot of heavy rain here and snowfall affecting the area. So even though we're looking at maybe a 1/4 inch of rain to as much as a 1/2 inch around the city of Seattle, much of the coastal area of Washington is going to see much more than that, anywhere from probably a 1/2 inch to an inch of rain in general. Some of the higher elevations, of course, getting 1 to 2 inches of rain. Oregon, not so much. Portland, maybe a 1/10 of an inch of rain from this event here for Monday. But in general, as we get into the day Tuesday, that's going to be heavier rain for both Seattle and Portland. And we'll discuss that here soon enough. And again, you can see some snowfall over there. Intermountain West, Nevada, Utah, Salt Lake City here, receiving some rain and snow. What I found interesting too was looking at Las Vegas earlier. We could see some rainfall just to the west of Las Vegas. Again, over the higher elevations here. But also, as you get north of town here in Las Vegas, you could run into some shower activity as well. So just keep that in mind for anybody traveling in that region. So what I kind of want to point out next is the jet stream itself and where that's at in reference to the temperatures. Right now we have a trough that's kind of digging south of California, and then over the Great Plains the jet stream kind of rises again and then kind of falls back down here as it reaches the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. But what this is going to provide for is a warming trend over much of the heart of the country. So you can imagine over the southern Great Plains, extending into the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and eventually the Northeast, we're going to have warmer temperatures begin to move to the north and east with time. At the same time, we have this trough digging southward over California and even into Mexico. And that's going to keep temperatures cool. And as it digs further to the south, we're going to see those snowfall levels drop, especially in Washington State and Oregon. But meanwhile, off to the east of the Rockies, we're going to see a warming trend, and it's going to be a warm week for many of us. But before then, you can see over the Northeast, we have this really cold area here, basically from New York State into Maine. And we have another area of snowfall during the day Monday. It'll probably be the last one for a bit. That's probably good news for a lot of you. And I think the next area of precipitation that comes in on Tuesday will be delivering rain actually into much of the Northeast. So that will be a big change coming up. So what we're seeing here is the 500 millibar height anomalies. And this is, again, the middle troposphere that we're looking at. And you can see obviously the below average height anomalies along the west coast, the above average height anomalies over much of the heart of the country here through the Great Plains and the Ohio Valley. Again, this is Monday morning. And then we can see what's left of the trough here over the east. And again, that will begin to exit with time, especially as we get into the day Tuesday and Wednesday. And what that means is for the majority of us, we're going to have this ridging and this warming trend for much of the week. And this will expand eastward with time, even into the Northeast as we get into, let's say, the middle part of the week. But in the meantime, for those living along the West Coast, anyone traveling through the mountain passes, we're going to have this trough digging further to the south. Okay, so this is the forecast map for Monday. We can see this system here over the Great Lakes that we were talking about earlier. That's going to be bringing snowfall to places like New York State and much of New England during the day Monday. Now we're talking about maybe 1 to 3 inches of snowfall in general. I would expect some lake enhancement, especially over western New York State from this system, and maybe some higher amounts even over the Green Mountains of Vermont, places like that, the White Mountains of New Hampshire. Places like that could see maybe greater than 3 inches of snow, but in general, lighter amounts here. It's almost like a clipper system that we're seeing during the day Monday. But the big event, again, is going to be over Northern California here. So places around, let's say, Eureka, northward in California, so basically north of San Francisco. A general 1 to 3 inches of rainfall, some places picking up 4 inches of rainfall. And then the other area of concern with time is going to be the Cascade region of Washington State and Oregon. So we kind of mark this 1, 2, 3 here to get a general idea. Now, this area number 3 is going to be mainly for the day Tuesday. Again, that's the Cascade region that we're talking about there, picking up 1 to 2 feet of snowfall, in addition to what we're seeing on Monday. So I would just be aware of that for anyone traveling through the mountain passes along the west coast. All right, so the next thing I want to go over here is the jet stream and kind of point out the shape to you here of what we're seeing. We're seeing this almost hill-like shape right at the beginning of the jet, and that shows you where the ridge is really positioned early in the week. And one thing you'll notice is that with time, not only does it flatten out, right, but it's a bit lower, right? And what that's going to allow for is this low pressure system that's forming over, let's say, the Midwest to bring another shot of cool air briefly to the northeast. So that's going to happen as we get later in the week here. But in general, this ridge is going to stay over the Great Plains, over the Ohio Valley and Mid-Atlantic, and we're going to see consistent warmth pretty much anywhere below this bottom line that you're seeing here on the screen. Another really cool thing I want to point out to you guys is that we have this jet streak forming, right? This purple that you're seeing as winds become more geostrophic, more west to east with time. This low pressure system is going to be in the poleward exit region briefly, and that's a favorable position for a low pressure system to be in. So when it does so, it's going to actually begin to strengthen. And the second system that we're seeing form over the Midwest during the day Tuesday is going to be stronger than the one we see during the day Monday. And with it, it's going to actually bring up some warmer temperatures into the northeast, and we're going to actually see some rainfall instead of snowfall as we get into, let's say, Tuesday afternoon and Tuesday night. Okay, also want to point out to you this trough that's digging over the west coast. And what's going to happen with time is that these systems that are moving from west to east from the Pacific inland, eventually we're going to have a low pressure system form out ahead of this trough. And that's going to be towards the end of the week here, maybe towards Thursday, where we see a new system form due to lead troughing. So basically it's just when this trough propagates to the east of the Rockies. That's more or less what's happening here. And when it does so, you're going to have a new system form, which is typical of an event like this. So what we're taking a look at now is from Tuesday into Wednesday. And you can see this system here over the Midwest and Northeast, bringing shower activity and warmer temperatures really into the Northeast. So we'll see rain activity really from New York State into much of New England. And this is also the case for places like Wisconsin and Michigan early in the day Tuesday, and of course getting into New York State, let's say as we get into Tuesday night, and the greater New England area during, let's say, Wednesday morning. Now further off to the west here, we can see another system, right, moving into the northwest. And one thing that you'll notice is that there's a lot of blue this time, right? Moving into the Cascade region of Washington State and Oregon. Again, they're talking about snowfall levels dropping to about 1,500 feet. So well below mountain pass levels. Anyone traveling there is going to probably experience some dangerous road conditions. Meanwhile, that system that we saw over Northern California is currently here, right? Just west of Mexico. And that system is going to actually travel with jet energy towards Texas with time. And that energy will likely form the next system that we see over the southern plains, again as we get into the Thursday, Friday time frame. All right, so what I want to do next is look at the 24-hour precipitation rates for the Northeast as well as the West Coast. And we can see here to begin with the systems over the Northeast. So I'm going to kind of wait for this thing to reset here, but we can see the first one here over the Great Lakes, and it's tracking off to the east with time. And then the second one forms to the south of it, or just to the south of it, and it covers more of the Ohio Valley before shifting further to the north and east with time. This second system here, so kind of pointing out System 1 and System 2. System 2 is going to probably bring heavier precipitation in general, but also warmer weather with it to the northeast as we get into Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. So you guys over the northeast will finally experience some warmer temperatures as we get towards midweek. And then looking over Northern California, right, for the system on Monday, you can see some lighter pinks here on the image, and that indicates those 2 to maybe 4 inches of rainfall that we could see in the northern part of California. Now that system begins to move south of time, right, just to the west of Mexico. And eventually, again, that energy will shift into the southern plains, kind of following that curvature of the trough that we saw before. So that's our first system really that we're looking at over the west. Our second system begins to move in during the day Tuesday over Vancouver, and that will begin to shift south and east with time. Again, that's where we're going to have these heavy snowfall amounts over the passes, again dropping to as low as 1,500 feet. Again, 1 to 2 feet of snowfall is possible in those mountain passes during the day Tuesday into Tuesday night. Along the coastline, again, we could see anywhere from 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of rain, even in Seattle and Portland, during the day Tuesday into Wednesday. So again, coastal flooding might be a concern again on Tuesday in those locations. I think it's important to note that over the Intermountain West, there will be showers and snowfall accompanying both of these systems. So the next thing I want to show you here is the propagation of that trough east of the Rockies with time. And one other thing here to highlight is this huge jet streak, right, that's going to be lined up along the eastern front of that trough. And with it, any system that forms, like in that low pressure system that we were talking about before over Texas, could really intensify over the Great Plains and Ohio Valley. Now where this low pressure exactly forms, it's hard to tell a week out, but anywhere east of the Rockies, likely the southern plains, is where the system will form. And likely it will track north and east with time. And there's going to be a lot of available energy with this system, right? We're going to have probably a lot of Gulf moisture being pulled northward. We're going to have warm temperatures in place over much of the country. And on the backside of it, we're going to have some cold air diving south out of Canada. During situations like this, there could be some severe weather. So anywhere over the Ohio Valley and Midwest, extending eastward into the Mid-Atlantic as well as the South, there could be a region of severe weather as we get later in the week. So just something to keep in mind. Again, it could be something where we just see a line of thunderstorms develop. But there's also a lot of energy here that could be tapped by this system. So it's something to be aware of, right, as we move later into the week. All right, so the big story this week, of course, is the temperatures. And I want to highlight this for you. For anyone living, let's say, east of the Rockies, from the state of Kansas eastward into the state of Virginia, could be experiencing daytime highs in the 60s, at least for 2 to 3 days this week. And also what's important is some thawing occurring. Temperatures in the 40s, at least for a day or two, from the Midwest into the Northeast. So this will allow for roads to be cleared and some melting to occur in these areas that have received a good deal of snow the last couple of weeks. But the last thing I want to note here is the cold air that will be making a return. So as that trough moves to the east, we're going to see cold air begin to funnel out of Canada with time. and we'll likely see a surge of below average temperatures. And it's too early right now to tell like how cold it's going to actually get, but we can see some single-digit temperatures moving into the Dakotas by the time we get to Saturday. This will likely affect much of the Midwest and the Northeast again, but how far south this actually dives will be dependent on the strength of that low pressure system that forms over the plains. Again, this is a week out, so it's hard to tell how strong it's going to be. All right, guys, so we'll leave it at that today. We got a couple of big stories this week. We have the heavy rain over northern portions of California, anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of rainfall in some locations. So anyone driving there, just be aware that you could experience mudslides right on the roadways. So dangerous travel conditions there. Anyone traveling through the mountain passes of Oregon and Washington State, 1 to 2 feet of snow Monday, an additional 1 to 2 feet of snow Tuesday possible. Again, snow levels dropping to about 1,500 feet during the day Tuesday, so please be aware of that. Over the Northeast, we've got a couple of shots of precipitation. First shot being the cold shot, a little bit of snow, maybe 1 to 3 inches of snow from the Midwest into the Northeast. But as we get into the day Tuesday, we got a warmer system moving in, so likely rainfall with that, but warmer temperatures, right? And some thawing. Big story for much of the country, though, is the ridge, and we'll see warmer temperatures again from Kansas to Virginia, southward over much of the southeast. Some temperatures even reaching the 70s in the Carolinas towards late week. But we'll leave it at that for now. Have a great week.